Welcome to Business Q&A. Social networks and the technologies around that, just how are they impacting the ways in which businesses communicate with their customers and customer service? For more on that, I'm joined by Kevin Meltzer, who's the Business Development Director at Consology. Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Good evening, good to be here, Samay.
Great. We've come a long way as far as social networks, particularly here in South Africa. Just what are the developments there in terms of how companies can use them to engage with their consumers?
Well, you are right. We've seen a great uptake in social networking sites such as Facebook and Twitter, where customers are going online to engage with other customers as well as their friends and family. And what this has meant is it's had a direct impact on businesses and the way that businesses service their customers and where their customers will go to get information and also to complain about organizations. So it's both a threat and an opportunity for businesses of the way they want to engage in these social networking sites. And as a company at Consology, we help businesses put self-service systems in place to engage with customers electronically. And what we've seen is customers are moving on to these social networking sites to engage electronically with their service providers.
I mean, Kevin, you say customers are moving on to these platforms, but is there no age difference in particular? Does that not cause a challenge for businesses that are challenging a particular clientele?
Certainly customer segmentation is very important, and organizations need to think about communicating to different customer audiences in a different way depending where they want to go. But what we've seen over time with the uptake of the internet and these social networking sites that have taken off and really absorbed a lot of people is these tend to be the first port of call for many different demographics of customers, from old customers to young customers. And often what they're doing is they're going onto these sites to communicate with other people, and I think the main reason for that is that they expect that there will be quite an immediate response. And that is where customer service has shifted dramatically, in that the previous way that many organizations would talk to customers would be potentially to send an email in to them as an organization, and we would expect a reply in 24 hours and we'd be happy with that. That expectation has changed now. Customers are looking for instant replies to problems and instant response to compliments. And the best way that customers have seen that today is to go onto these social networking sites and to put that message out there. And for organizations, what is difficult is that message is very much public. So if someone is not happy with a service provider, they more than likely would go to Facebook and they'd put a message out there, and there can be quite a lot of brand damage if that organization doesn't pick up on that quite soon, try and rectify the problem and engage with customers in that platform, because they've chosen to go online to engage with that company.
Kevin, tell me, to what extent do companies appreciate the changes that are happening in this space and the impact that it's likely to have on them?
I think many organizations, particularly in South Africa, have been a little bit slow to shift onto this new way of engaging with customers. But I think we've very rapidly seen organizations start to understand that social platforms and online sites are very important to their customer experience. And as such, they themselves need to be on those online sites. So what we see overseas and in many countries, and also here in South Africa now, companies are starting to adopt it, are monitoring sites like Facebook and Twitter and looking for when customers are saying anything about their particular organization, and then choosing to directly engage with that person. So if someone goes onto Twitter and says, I'm standing in a bank queue and it's driving me mad and I've been here a long time, you know, if that bank is actually listening, that will come up real time on their view, and they'd be able to talk to that customer directly and try and understand what the problem is and resolve it. And the mere fact that people are online saying those sorts of things, that I'm at this bank in a queue and it's very frustrating, that's not good for the bank. So they really want to try and understand those situations as readily as possible. And many people now are using Twitter and Facebook on their mobile phones. So it's shifted away from the web as we knew it, where people needed to be, you know, connected to a laptop or PC, where now someone standing in the queue with their cell phone is able to broadcast a message around the world that potentially is not beneficial to a company.
Kevin, we're running out of time, but very, very quickly, if you can speak to this issue. It actually requires a rethink in the way a business carries out its operations as far as these platforms go, because it's not only being available on Facebook, available on Twitter and so forth. It's actually the people behind those platforms who need to engage with the consumer in turn.
Absolutely. That's the absolute key point, is that the market has shifted as regards online and how customers engage online. Businesses need to make a decision of how they wish to engage in that space. They can choose to ignore it, and those conversations will happen in any case, or they can choose to engage and try and not necessarily control the conversation, but manage it in a positive way that's useful for the customer and them as a brand.
Power Zulu, finally actually shifting to the consumer. That's what's happening with engagement.
The internet has always started to shift the power over to us, and we're much more vocal now. And because we're vocal, organizations need to listen to us in a very different kind of way and look at more immediate responses. People really want to be noticed when they have a problem, and they want that problem to be resolved. And social networks and social platforms, because of their real-time status and their real-time availability, are the perfect area to go. So organizations need to recognize that and get onto these social networks and engage there.
Thank you very much. Well, there you have it. That's your business Q&A for this evening. Thanks for watching.